Real quick, if you want to learn more about macronutrients and understand that methodology on how they can help you achieve your body composition goals of changing the way your body looks, I put together a free 15-minute training where I dive into macronutrients and how you can control your body for the rest of your life with them. That link is in the description below. Click on it after listening to the show today. All it takes is just specific adjustments to your exercise and nutrition. It is not because of all of these things that you can't get X result. Typically, it's because you're not eating enough. And just own that. Own that you probably have no idea how much you are eating, or you have no idea what food is made up of. And that is okay. Yo, you guys, what's up? Welcome to the Macro Hour with Nikki Stott, co-founder of WarriorBabe. And on this podcast, we talk about mindset, methodologies, and tactics that will help you lose body fat, build muscle, be strong, and feel insanely confident. I'm your host, Nikki Stott, and welcome to episode number 75. Damn, 75, only 25 more to 100. Let's go. Anyway, on this podcast today, I am answering another question. You guys did thank you. I appreciate it. The question box I dropped a couple weeks ago, I screenshotted it and I have been answering in the last 3 or 4 podcasts, questions that I received in that box because they were worthy of long answers. And I appreciate that so much. I'm going to probably drop another one soon. So stay tuned. If you guys don't follow me on IG, go follow me there at Nikki Stott. Remember, I spell my name weird, Nikkiey. Last name is Stott, Stott. Go follow me there. Ask me your questions when I pop it onto my story. Maybe I'll even do a reel or something like that where you guys can leave it in the comments because I know that gets a reach a little bit better. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today is a question that a woman had in that question box around how the change of hormones affects 45-year-old women to building muscle and to losing fat. And I thought this was such a good question. She wanted me to elaborate on the hormonal changes that women experience during this phase of life. And while I've talked about on tips of things to go through menopause, it's one of the top podcasts, one of the top 5, even on YouTube too as well at WarriorBabe. I don't think that I've ever talked about the science behind what actually happens with female hormones that causes all these things to get weird, right, during this phase of life. And let me just disclaimer, I'm only 33 years old. Okay, I'm not 40 plus, 45 plus. I have never gone through menopause. I've never experienced menopause, but I really sit on my education that I have with my nursing degree and reading books, and also just the thousands of women's lives that I have helped change in terms of body composition and building more muscle, decreasing body fat that have gone through this phase of life. So I hold that weight right there, being able to speak this outwardly with confidence and knowing that what I'm saying here is what actually happens and what goes on. And, you guys can trust me in that realm, even though I'm only 33 years old. Okay. And man, I blessed that I know this stuff because I know how to go and tackle. And that's why I want you guys to know this stuff too, whether maybe you're in your 30s or, maybe you're going into your 40s. Knowing this stuff is so valuable to your longevity, to your life, to everything moving forward, okay? Because a lot of women don't know this stuff and they blame age, they blame getting older, they blame that. That's the main one that they blame. They blame the hormones too as well. But there's things that you can do to work around it. It's not like it's the end all be all and life is over because I'm 45, 50 and I'm about to start going through menopause and toss it up that I can never achieve the body that I want. That shit's false. Let me just tell you right now. I've seen thousands of women achieve the body they want while going through this phase of life. So knock it off with those excuses. They do not serve you. Knock it off with those limiting beliefs. They do not serve you. Knock it off with those stories that you're telling yourself because they do not serve you. But if you know this stuff I'm going to share with you guys today, there's workaround. Even though all of these changes are happening in your body, considering these hormonal changes, all you need to do is make adjustments to your nutrition, to your exercise, to optimize you getting the results that you want with building more muscle and fat and having more fat loss, and just overall having more results with your body. Okay. The main thing is, the mental thing and the mental shift and understanding that it isn't those excuses. It isn't those things that you've been telling yourself. It's like getting past that, recognizing sure, this is shifting. These things are happening in my body, but like all you need to do is make adjustments because some of you may not be eating enough. I mean, actually, majority of you are not eating enough. Like I know that to be number one. Majority of you have no idea what you're eating. Majority of you no idea what is consistent of the food on your plate, and you're eating way more carbs and fats than you are protein, and protein is a macronutrient king while you are going through this phase of life. Your exercise. I mean, hella tons of you guys are cardio bunnies or like doing boot camps or doing F45 or boutique classes. Right there, you guys aren't optimizing strength training. You guys aren't prioritizing strength training. Dude, those two things, like I just like those are the adjustments you got to make before me even diving into the science of things. But like those are the adjustments that you have to make to your routine right now to optimize building more muscle and fat loss. It doesn't have to do like I'm going to talk about the hormonal shifts that women experience, but I'm going to elaborate more on those tactics that you need to deploy on, because that's the damn truth. Like that's all it comes down to. Like that's what it comes down to. Okay. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but to elaborate more to help you guys understand. Hey guys, love so much that you guys are listening to this podcast. If you ever want to have the video version of this, which usually has more effects and all that good stuff for those of you who are visual learners, check out our YouTube channel, WarriorBabe, if that's what you like. Either way, keep enjoying the show. How these, like what's going on in the body during this phase of life and the hormones that are being affected and the hormones that are being changed. That's what I want to dive into right now. So broadly speaking, and I'm going to elaborate, but I want to elaborate in an understanding where you guys can apply, right? I don't want to get too sciencey. I don't want to get too like science technobabble where you guys are like kind of like a deer in headlights when you're listening to this. I know some of you guys appreciate the science, but I want to keep it 5th grade level so you guys can understand it a little bit better and then just apply what I'm saying here. Like that's just the ultimate goal of this podcast is just for you guys to deploy on the action things that I say, take action with this podcast. Like you can talk to me. You guys are up to 75 podcasts, right? How many of you guys have fucking taken action from this podcast? That is all I ask that you do. I'm giving you guys so much valuable information here. Go and take action with it. Go do something with it. That's all I ask. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about the hormones. Broadly speaking, your body experiences a decline in estrogen. It experiences a decline in progesterone. It experiences changes in testosterone. It also experiences insulin resistance. And it also experiences, but I don't want this to get too far ahead of you guys. It is true that your metabolism slows down, but there's a big reason why it slows down. I'll share it here in a second. If you guys have peeped my Instagram, you probably already know the answers to this, but you guys have control over this. You guys have control over the metabolism. You guys have also control in helping these hormones not fluctuate so harshly. And it's very much tied to your diet and your exercise. So with you guys aging, there is a gradual decline in your estrogen levels. There's a gradual decline in your progesterone levels. And what estrogen does in the body is it plays a role in maintaining body composition by influencing fat distribution and muscle mass. And so the decline in estrogen can lead to a shift in your fat distribution with more fat accumulating more so, and this is the thing that women experience, more so around the abdomen rather than in maybe, let's say, your hips or your thighs or somewhere else, right? The majority of what women experience is that accumulation of unwanted body fat around the abdomen when you are experiencing premenopause or even going through menopause. And that is because of these estrogen levels gradually declining and them being an influence to the fat distribution and the muscle mass with your body. So that's number one. Progesterone is another thing. I'm not going to dive too much into it because estrogen is really the one that plays a big role in it. What I want to, which I don't, you guys all know these things start shifting, right? Testosterone, too, it declines as women age and it can affect the muscle building capacity, making it more challenging for women to build and maintain muscle mass. So with those things shifting hormonally, and you're having these hormonal imbalances, right? It was very straight to the point. I hope you guys understood that. That these decline and things happen, and that's what's happening. Mainly what women experience is that estrogen one, but also testosterone. If that's declining, it's going to affect your ability to build more muscle. While those are a part of the imbalances, the thing that also women experience due to these imbalances is insulin resistance. And because of the hormone fluctuations during premenopause, this contributes to your body and how it processes and stores carbohydrates. So I mentioned in previous podcasts how we approach this phase of life with women inside of WarriorBabe. And due to these hormonal imbalances happening and backing what's happening with the hormonal imbalances, this insulin resistance and how your body then processes and stores carbohydrates, I mentioned how we level our macronutrients for women, and it's totally different than someone who is 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old. Completely different, right? Your protein 100% still has to stay the same. Shit, we're trying to get women to eat more protein in no matter what, in every walks of life coming in along their journey. Women are just not eating enough protein. But when it comes to the carbohydrates and the fat distribution, when it comes to macronutrients, you outside of premenopause, menopause can eat a higher percentage of grams for your overall caloric intake with carbohydrates. But when it comes to this phase of all of these things shifting and this internally is happening, the fat distribution must actually be a little bit higher. And then the carbohydrate has to be lowered. Now, this isn't in relation to a keto diet, you guys. Hear me loud and clear, because you may hear me saying high fat, low carb. Low carb in a keto world is like literally 5 to 10%. You still have a significant amount of carbohydrates coming into your daily nutritional needs with what we recommend inside of WarriorBabe and our methodology when you're going through this phase of life. And it's way above what is recommended with keto. We're not eliminating carbohydrates entirely. We will never, that is our methodology. We will never eliminate something that is of a long-term sustainable and realistic measure that gives you longevity throughout life. You need carbohydrates. So, but in this phase of life, because with that insulin resistance, it's way more difficult for women to lose body fat. And it also will affect building muscle because it's impairing the nutrient delivery to the muscle tissue. So knowing this, right, and understanding this, especially from the perspective of myself and our coaches, we know that the distribution of carbohydrates and fats has to change during this phase of life. And you guys heard me say premenopause and menopause. Just those two pillars of you going through this phase, right? Post-menopause is completely different. Post-menopause can act in a similar way of what you were doing when you were 20 or 25. I mean, it can act in a similar way. I shouldn't even say that because a lot of people are doing things right in their 20s and 30s. And we're fixing things up for them when they come to us in WarriorBabe. But I should say that when you're post-menopause, you can go back to a higher intake of carbohydrates and a moderate intake of fats. And obviously your protein, no matter what, stays the same. It's always 1 gram per body weight. of protein. So if you weigh 150 grams or 150 pounds, you would eat 150 grams of protein per day. And it also can depend on where you're at in your journey, what phase you're in, cutting, building, all of this stuff. You may have a little bit higher, but I'm not going to dive into that. I don't want to get lost in that sense. So, but you can understand that we understand, right, as a coach with the profession and even the knowledge that I have, and even though I share with you guys too, I back it by the thousands of women that I've helped through this journey, and also my insane desire to just learn more about the body and what goes on inside. And then that's a big reason why I was in nursing. But we can lean on this right here, that we know how to, because of all these hormonal imbalances that these women experience, like I just mentioned, that you have a decline in estrogen, you have a decline in progesterone, you have a decline in testosterone. With these hormonal imbalances comes insulin resistance, and all together, all of these things, all of these hormonal all these hormonal declines that women are experiencing, has a huge effect on how women lose body fat and how they build more muscle. And the thing is, you guys, is just like I said at the beginning, like all it takes is just specific adjustments to your exercise and nutrition. It is not because of all of these things that you can't get X result. Typically, it's because you're not eating enough, and just own that. Like, own that you probably have no idea how much you are eating, or you have no idea what food is made up of, and that is okay. That is why I would recommend you look into WarriorBabe, because this is a demographic of women that we help. But I'm not leaving out the women, that are not in this. We also help those women too as well. But this is like, we pride ourselves on understanding this. Now, so those are things that insulin resistance, macros, like those are the things. I'm kind of like solving it as I'm talking about it, but I do want to elaborate. I'm going to elaborate on more afterwards as well. The other thing that I want to talk about is a slower metabolism. Okay, it's known that as you age, your metabolism tends to slow down. And what this means is that your body just burns fewer calories while at rest, making it way more challenging to maintain or achieve an appropriate caloric deficit for fat loss without just going way too low with eating with your overall caloric intake for the day, right? So it may be like when you get older and you're going through this, your metabolism tends to slow down. I'm going to explain something in a second that's just going to blow your fucking mind. We don't want to get too low in a sense of like, your body burns fewer calories while at rest. We don't want to get too low as like 1,100 calories where you're eating on a regular basis because of the metabolism getting too slow. With all this happening too, this tends to happen with the hormonal changes, but it can also further contribute to the slower metabolism, with you also having an experience of decrease in muscle mass. But let me just blow your mind here for a second. That's what a lot of people have learned to be true. While it is somewhat true, the big reason why your metabolism slows down as you age is because as you age, you as a human slow down. Okay, so just wrap that inside of your brain here for a second. As you get older, you're more sedentary with your job. You're more sedentary when you come home. You're not exercising. Majority of women are not exercising as much. Majority of women are not getting out to go and do active things outside, right? Like they find the comfort of their home and their couch. A lot of women, that is what leads to the obesity. That is what leads to X, Y, and Z conditions. So overall, in all, if you are having more, on top of the hormones and causing imbalances and declining as you age, that is where too, like with your slower metabolism and then you guys eating shit and eating whatever you want and not understanding that world, how the fat distribution shifts around the abdomen. Okay, so those are a couple of things when it comes into what is actually happening with your hormones as you are aging and going through your 40s, your later 40s into your 50s, and you're starting to experience premenopause and menopause. Now, considering these hormonal changes, you guys, all you need to do is make adjustments to your exercise and your nutrition strategies to optimize you building more muscle and losing more body fat. And I say that it's literally all that is. Okay, You don't need, some people may need HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. But look, I've seen so many women come off of that shit and get just into the balanced way of eating right and working out consistently and taking that shit seriously. And they've been able to see dramatic changes with their body. That is literally all it takes. Because a lot of women that go on HRT or that need all of these X, Y, and Z's, the underlying rooting cause is that they're not eating right. They're not eating enough. They're not eating enough protein. They're eating shit. They're drinking alcohol every single weekend, or even more periodically every single night with some glass of wine. And they're not getting in strength training. People are doing boutique classes and boot camp and all of this stuff and prioritizing cardio and getting on the cardio equipment. Guys, look, that's just digging yourself a deeper even hole with throwing your hormones off whack. You need to be lifting weights. You need to be in the gym, picking up something and challenging your muscles. As I've shared in previous podcasts, why muscle is so important to the longevity of your life. I'm getting very spicy here. It's because I'm so passionate about this stuff. I see so many women coming into our program, into WarriorBabe. I see so many women on the, just in general in life, whether it be I'm out at a restaurant, I'm walking around, I'm, people watching. I can look at women and I can see what they're doing wrong with their life without even having a conversation with them, just based off of the physical appearance of their body. And I say that with confidence because that's what Tony Robbins has said before too as well. You can just look at somebody and you can understand how they live their life. And I say this because, just bluntly, so many women are not doing these things. Like I said, you have no idea. A lot of women have no idea what they're eating. They have no idea what a protein is, what a carb is, and what a fat is. So if you can get real with yourself and take a radical ownership with yourself, if this is you, and stop blaming the fact that it may be your hormones and that the fact that it is your hormones and that it's your age and that you're just doomed for life now because you can't fix this shit. If that's you, you ain't gonna get nowhere. You're gonna be 70 years old still doing the same shit. If you can have radical ownership right now in the fact that you are not eating right and you have no idea what you're eating and, you start tracking for a couple of days, which is one of the things we make our VIPs do as soon as they come into our program, just to understand a baseline. We ask them to track for a couple of days, for 3 days max, so that we can set their programming up in a way that is going to support where they're at, but also fuel future success with their metabolism and their body. Those women have no idea where they're at. They have no idea how to track, which a lot of people don't know how to do. And that's one of the things that we build confidence in women when they come into WarriorBabe, because we are a macronutrient-based company. But just because we are that doesn't mean that you have to track macronutrients right out of the gate. We build confidence in your ability to do so. But a lot of women come in and they have no idea. I watch playbacks of our coaches in the onboarding calls and they just have no idea, right? So if you can take radical ownership in the fact that you have no idea what you're doing right now and what you're eating right now, and you need help in that sense, check out WarriorBabe below this podcast and apply and join, because the more that you sit in that weight of not knowing, you're going to be 10 years down the road still not knowing. Or you're going to be 10 years in the road trying to figure this all out by yourself and wanting to bash your head in the wall because you haven't gotten the answers that you want. So with all that I said here, and this kind of was like education rant on recognizing, but I say all this with love, you guys, because I want you guys to get the results that you want. And I want you guys to get out of the mentality of hormone shifting and all of this is happening to knowing that all you need is an adjustment to implement strength training, because it's so important for your body and your muscles. And also the hormone levels. Strength training plays a big factor in adding more testosterone, and estrogen and progesterone comes from nutrition and also strength training as well. So doing all of this stuff is just going to help as you're going through this phase of life, be able to do even more of this, in the later years of life, if you're doing it right now. And even if you're in your 30s and starting in early 40s, doing this right now fucking matters. Okay, but with that all being said, I'm trying to see where I can go a little bit more, but I don't think I can. I elaborated on how the change of the hormones affects like women in their 40s, later 40s, and their 50s to building more muscle and losing body fat, what those hormones are really doing, what changes you guys can and will experience and why you're experiencing them. But all you need to do is just make an adjustment to your nutrition and your exercise, literally. And then most importantly, you do got to get through the mindset shit. But on top of that, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent with strength training. You got to be consistent with eating right. It's not just a matter of 3 months and you're doing all these things and you can expect that for the rest of your life, you're gonna win, right? You gotta create, and what we love to say at WarriorBabe is it's not just another fad diet. It's not just another protocol to get to X result. This is a fucking lifestyle. And this is how we teach women to live the lifestyle. You have to break these habits. You have to eliminate all these stories and these limiting beliefs, and you have to just apply and do the work, and you have to do it consistently. Okay? So, with that being said, I love you guys. I hope you found value in this podcast. If you did, please rate this show, review this show. That is the only way this thing grows, by the way, is your guys' reviews below this podcast. So take a second after you're done listening, go find the review section, leave me a review. I would so appreciate that. By the way, I love reading them too as well. And then that is how we stay in top 20 and keep growing, keep impacting more lives in a positive manner. Okay, guys, peace out. Hey guys, real quick, if you're interested in taking your body to the next level, lose body fat, build more muscle, feel more confident, do it alongside one of our 30+ professional coaches. Work one-on-one with her to eliminate all of the guesswork that you may have, and all you need to do is just do the work that she tells you to do to get to those goals of yours. Now, to learn more, click the link below this podcast and apply to our VIP program right now.